I'm Shaun Weston. I'm from FoodBev.com. I'm here at Packaging Innovations London. I'm talking to Guy Douglas, who's the MD of Bos Design. Thanks for joining me today, Guy.
Pleasure.
We're noticing some new trends in the past year in design and packaging. What are you noticing as MD of Bos Design?
Well, there are trends towards, well, put it this way, a couple of years ago everything was about recyclability, recycling, and materials that were recycled or were, coir matting or whatever. And to an extent that's still the case. But there is another thing that's starting to catch people, and it is starting to catch people's imagination and become more important to them, and that is food waste. And packaging has a big role to play in the prevention of food waste through retention of shelf life for longer. And it's particularly relevant in the food industry, with more and more councils giving out food waste buckets and that sort of thing. The consumer is more concerned about that than the amount of packaging recycling that they're having to do. I think it's partly because recycling has been on top of the agenda for so long that consumers kind of see it as something that they would expect all retailers and manufacturers to do per se, to do anyway. And therefore the latest thing is no longer recycling because the consumers are expecting that. They're now expecting people to address their next annoyance, which is food waste. It's nothing more annoying as a consumer than having to throw away food that you've paid for, chicken fillets or fruit or whatever that's gone off before you've used it. And that seems to be an issue that's being talked about at this show.
How does that affect your working with a client, with a new client who comes to you and says, I want a certain design for this packaging? Is that something you bring up?
Not really, and not unless they do, because we specialise in the graphic design on the packaging, but we're often asked for recommendations as to who our clients might talk to with regard to the structure of their packaging, and that's something that that's part of the reason why we're here today, is because we need to understand the latest developments in packaging structure and packaging substrates, so that when our clients talk to us about them, we know what they're talking about. We are not an agency that source packaging for our clients, but they will ask our opinion, and it's important that we know what's happening in the industry.
Yeah. Guy, thank you very much. Thank
Pleasure.
you. Thanks again for downloading this podcast. For more news, analysis, opinion, interviews and multimedia for the food and beverage industry, go to foodbev.com.